What's up, world? This is your guy, Guitar K, and today we're going to be talking about getting out of your own way. Now, I done heard this term preached to me, taught to me, talked to me. You know how somebody could be sitting there telling you something, and you're sitting there looking at him and listening to him, but you like, man, I don't know what this guy talking about. This does not apply to me. Look, man, I was in my way for so long. Look, man, you ever seen that movie Life? You know the character I'm talking about. Can't get right. Look, man, that was me. And I don't know if it was that I couldn't get right, if I didn't want to get right, or look, the bottom line is it wasn't right. Lit had a song in the 90s. It was called My Own Worst Enemy. Guilty as charged. For so long, I was my own worst enemy. I just couldn't get out of my own way. I mean, it comes to so many different things. Denial, stubbornness, hard-headedness. Can't tell me nothing. Thinking I know everything. Look, man, not until recently, I'm talking very recently, have I finally decided to take a step back and look at my ways and my actions and finally started studying what they meant by getting out of your own way. I'm talking about taking directions. I'm talking about asking for help. I'm talking about practicing some discipline, some self-control, some not doing the easy things, not always seeking the convenient way, or, always striving for pleasure, not always going for the low-hanging fruit, not letting my flesh get the best of me, not always falling to, you ever seen that movie Seven? The seven deadly sins with the greed and the lust and the gluttony and the pride and the wrath and the sloth, those things. And too much chasing those things too much has brought me to my knees so many times. And it's mostly been the lust and the greed. I've never been too lazy. I've never been too angry. Sometimes I've let my anger get the best of me, but it's mostly been that lust and that greed, man. But today, I'm able to sit still and not chase those things. I'm not chasing lust. I'm not chasing greed. And just for the day, man, I'm out of my own way. A mentor of mine, Mr. Mike Gray, he would always say, find your lane, get in that lane, and stay in that lane. Today, I'm in my lane, man. A lot of times, you in every lane. You want to be jumping in this lane, jumping in that lane. You all in the way. Like I said, a lot of times you just in your own way. You blocking your own blessings. You blocking your own success. You want to tell help how to help you. Somebody tell you what you need to work on. You just want to laugh in their face just to spite them. Knowing that you might need to work on it, but you just like the person, can't nobody tell you nothing. Look, man, I don't know if I was just a glutton for punishment. Just keep doing the same thing over, expecting different results. They call it insanity. And I never wanted to admit that I was insane per se. But when I have to look back on my actions, I have to say, man, I was caught up in a circle of insanity. But it feels good to hop out of that circle today, man. Look, it feels good to be in my lane, to be out of the way, mainly my own way. And it's like some floodgates done open. It's like some floodgates done open to my mind. I see things clearly. I don't let things bother me as much. Now, some things still do bother me, but I gotta guard my mind, man. I gotta guard my heart. I don't get into a lot of conversations that I don't belong in. I don't feed into negativity because I'm just a very positive minded person. And I had to realize that everybody's not going to be as positive as me. So I have to set boundaries today. I can't settle. I have to strive for what I believe in, the way that I was raised to believe things are. The Bible says that certain cornerstones should not be moved. And when you move those cornerstones and you try to operate, things just don't go smoothly. Now, I also have to practice acceptance. I have to accept that the world has moved those cornerstones. The way that I was raised up to believe that things should be is not that way anymore. And for so long, I let that get me tripped up. Again, I was in my own way. I couldn't get right. I had to accept that I don't rule this world. The world is going to be what it be. The world is not getting any better. I have to get better with dealing with the world. I have to accept that all the morals and principles that I was raised up with, everybody's not going to practice them, but I have to practice them. Because once I start being wishy-washy and willy-nilly and not standing for what I believe in, I start to fall for everything. My grandmother raised me up to believe some certain things that you just don't do. That recently they have passed laws to make it okay that certain things is acceptable in the world now. And I have to navigate these things carefully. I can't associate with it. I can't be a part of it, but I have to accept it. And I could step back from a distance and still do what I got to do and be polite, be respectful, because I was raised up to be those things. Let's not forget, man, look, I had to get out of my own way. Can't run off of fear. Can't run off of emotions, being indecisive. For so long, I was inconsistent. I would start something and not finish it, man. Look, overthinking things. Just sitting back, watching too long, too afraid to take action. Not today, man. Not today. Best believe, man, if I have an idea and I think it's going to work, I'm going to work it. They say the program, it works if you work it. Today, I believe in what I'm doing. I stand behind what I'm doing. I don't color outside the lines. They say that if you got a destination and you're trying to get to said destination, do you know if you just get to the left just a little bit, you just get off course just a little bit, maybe like 2-3 degrees, but you keep going, you're going to be so far off your destination, you ain't going to know where the hell you at. And that was my problem, man. I would get distracted so easy. I'm talking distracted by females. I'm talking distracted by alcohol, by drugs, by greed. By I said, like those 7 deadly sins. I conformed to the world when I was taught not to. They say the same things that make you laugh, make you cry. Now, back in the day, in my 20s, I was laughing, y'all. I was having myself a good old time, going out and partying, spending all my money, running up credit cards and all that type of stuff. But look, that stuff caught up with me, man. I got in my own way, and I only have myself to blame. But today, man, look, I'm doing my best not to make those same mistakes, because I was making them over and over and over. Look, man, I had to grow up, man. I had to learn that I can't control everything. I can't control what people say to me. I can't control what people do to me. The only thing I can control is what I do and say. I can control the effort that I put into something I believe in. I can control me getting up and working out every day and being as healthy as I want to be. I can control what I eat. I can control what I say. I can control how I respond. Again, I can get out of my own way. Today, I'm not going to let nobody bring me out of character. I don't have to respond to everything. If I don't have anything to say that's nice, I'm not going to say nothing, man. Look, man, I'd rather just sit there and let somebody talk to me, and I can just look at you in your face and think, because everything doesn't warrant a response. If you talk trash to me, I got a mental trash can over here. I can just put it in the trash. Everything that somebody says to me does not warrant me to say something back to you today, man. I'm not getting in my way. I'm not going to mess up my blessings, man. Look, I have a choice of the people that I surround myself with, because I used to surround myself with yes men and people that agreed with my nonsense and my BS. A true friend is going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Look, man, if somebody told me something I didn't want to hear, I was out of there so fast, man. Look, like I said, I just couldn't get right. I was in my way, but today I'm in my lane and things are going smooth. Is it perfect? No, but that's another thing. I always expected for things to go so perfectly until I had to realize, man, life is not perfect. Life is not fair. Life is what you make it. The reason that I'm in the situation that I am in today is because I got myself here and I can accept it. I don't blame nobody. I don't blame the world. I don't blame the way I was raised. I don't blame anything or anybody but me. But the power in that is that I have the power to get myself out of it. And I love that. It's all on me. That's right. I'm the only one who get the job done. And today I'm doing the necessary things. Well, more or less, it's what about what I'm not doing. I'm not doing anything to make it worse. That's all I need to do is not do anything to make it worse. I was blessed with certain gifts. I was blessed with certain talents. Look, man, I got to get out here and act like I'm heaven sent. Why? Because I am. I'm created in God's image. God is in me. But for so long, I'm blocking out God's light because I want to do things in dark. The things I'm doing was so vile and so backwards that I had to hide and be in secrecy and running off and dipping off from the people that love me, dipping off from the people that want to see me do good. But not today, man. Not today, man. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Kawan Parker is getting out of his own way. So if there's anybody worried about me, look, man, today I'm okay. I'm in my lane. I feel good. I'm healthy. I'm blessed. Am I having the most fun today? No. A lot of people look at me today and they be like, oh, you look like you bored. So what? I don't care. Bored is okay with me. Look, I ain't getting in no trouble. I ain't doing anything to hurt or harm myself. I will take bored. Bored is okay. I'm still blessed and highly favored. And most of all, I've learned to get out my own way. Today, I'm not my own worst enemy. Look, in my teens and my 20s and all that, I wasn't bored. But look, man, I was messing up. I was screwing up. I'll take boredom today because it's out the way. And a lot of times, we confuse peace with boredom. That's another thing I used to do. Look, I don't even know if I might look bored, but trust me, I'm not. I'm doing okay today. I'm out the way. I'm in my lane. I'm blessed. I advise you to do the same. Life doesn't always have to be a party. It's about discipline. It's about self-control. It's about what you're not doing. Don't do anything to bring yourself down. I ain't in no trouble. I ain't got to look over my shoulder. I ain't got no warrants. Look, man, it's all good in the hood. Get out of your own way. Stop being in denial. Make the changes that you need to make. This is your guy, Guitar K. Be more